What's going on, yo? It's TCG here, and I'm ready to draw some cards when I'm minus a Dawn. That's right, Reiju is coming out in OP06 just in a couple weeks, so you know what that means. We got to do a deep dive on it. We've gone ahead and covered Yamato, and so if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. And we already covered Perona last week, so if you haven't checked that out, go check that out as well. I'll have links to those in the description below. But if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. I appreciate you stopping by. Make sure to give this a like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. It lets me know if you want me to keep making it and if you enjoy it or not. If you've never seen Deep Dive before, this is a series that I do where we talk about new leaders that are coming out and different ways we can build them. We take a look at 3 to 4 different deck lists, the first of which being competitive deck lists, usually topping larger events in the OCG, then followed by a budget deck list, so that if you're not wanting to break the bank and you're wanting to play this leader, you can definitely build that for a fraction of the cost. And then also a fun list, something a little more non-traditional and usually a little goofy. Probably not the best build, but you can have a good time with it. So today, like I said, we're going to be looking at Reiju, and before we jump into this, I want to shout out Dueling Guard. If you haven't heard of Dueling Guard, they're the best anime-inspired TCG accessories on the market. Scratch that. Best TCG accessories on the market, period. They make the highest quality anime-inspired TCG deck boxes, binders, and playmats, and if you haven't seen them before, make sure to go check out that link in my description below and use code GUMGUMTCG to get a discount at checkout. What? You haven't heard of Dueling Guard? Dueling Guard is the best TCG accessory company on the market. They have high quality deck boxes, binders, and playmats made for people who enjoy playing and collecting trading card games in style. They have tons of designs based off of fan favorite animes such as One Piece, Bleach, Full Metal Alchemist, and many more. They hit the ground running earlier this year, making high quality TCG accessories with beautiful designs that have sold out many times. So if you haven't picked up any of their products, make sure to do so before they sell out again. I have a few deck boxes and playmats from them already and can attest to how they don't cut any corners when it comes to quality, performance, and design. I highly recommend their products and use them every time I play cards. Be sure to check the description below for a link to their site and use code GUMGUMTCG for a discount at checkout. Alright, y'all, and without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the Reiju leader. So if you don't know what this leader does, it is a blue-purple leader with 5,000 life. Oh, 5,000 power, not 5,000 life, 5,000 power, 4 life, and the Vinsmoke family and GERMA 66 typing. So that's pretty neat. It's cool to see that kind of typing come into play here. And the effect is actually really good. It says your turn once per turn. When one of your Dawn cards on your field is returned to your Dawn deck, you draw a card. That's inherently really strong. Just being able to go Dawn -1 for one of your effects and then get a new card from your deck. No restriction on that other than having to go Dawn -1. You don't have to be lower. You don't have to be higher than your opponent. You don't have to have a certain amount of cards in your hand. Just being able to do that whenever you go Dawn- is very, very strong. And we have a lot of cards in these lists that do that frequently and help you get a lot of advantage very fast. This deck loves to hoard cards in hand and then make big pushes. Can put out some really nice bodies on the field and can spam the board at times if they want to. This deck has so much searchability. You almost always have the pieces you need. It's very consistent, and I think it's perfect for what blue-purple players have been asking for and wanting to play for a while. So let's go ahead and look at the deck list and see how these cards kind of work together. So we are on 4 copies of Kaya. That's going to be one of our 2Ks. Of course, this draws 2 and trashes 2, helps you cycle, helps you look for your pieces at the beginning of the game, maybe the later parts of the game. So always a good 2K. I love this card into any blue deck if you can play it. Then we are on 1 copy of Gion. So I think this might be for Nami. It's a 4-drop 5K with a 2K counter, and it says your turn once per turn. When your opponent activates an event, your opponent places a card from their hand at the bottom of the deck. So if you're going to try and fight against Nami, you have this on the field. When they use an event, they have to also trash a card from hand, making them go minus. Seems pretty interesting. That seems to be the only reason I could think that this is in here. Again, this is a topping list I pulled from the One Piece Top Decks website. I believe this topped a flagship, got first place. So yeah, they had to be playing this for a reason. Next, they're on 2 copies of Charlotte Pudding, and this is one of my favorite cards to come out of OP06, just because it is insanely strong, and as a Queen player, I have access to this in blue. I always mention that I'm a Queen player. I love to mention that, because I just love seeing new good support cards for that, and sometimes Queen has an uphill battle against certain decks that get a lot of card advantage in hand, and being able to play this card, and on play, your opponent returns all their cards in their hand to their deck and shuffles, then they draw 5 new ones, is insanely powerful. This card is amazing in certain matchups and can help you win games. I'm telling you, this is a sleeper of a card. Don't mess around when you're playing against blue decks anymore. Next, we are on 1 copy of Khalifa, just a 4-drop 4K with the 2K counter. And this is just to help you cycle some more cards, but the effect on this is really, really strong in this deck, because it's when attacking Dawn -1, so you are going to instantly get that Reiju draw, but you also get to draw 2 and trash 1 from Khalifa, so it's basically a draw 3, trash 1 with this on your turn, once per turn. So that's really, really strong, can help you cycle for some cards you need, and this deck also likes to fill up the trash for some of these GERMA cards, trash or hand, but sometimes the trash. And then here we are on 1 copy of Miss Doublefinger. So standard deck building, you usually don't see a lot of one-ofs like this, but I think they all serve a different purpose and can help you in different ways, so I kind of like that. And you do draw a lot with this deck, you do cycle a lot with this deck, so I could see you getting to most of these pieces. I've played multiple games against Reiju in testing where they're going down to like 10 cards left in deck, maybe even less than that at times, so they will see a lot of these cards most of the times. So I do like the idea of playing specific one-ofs for certain matchups or certain scenarios, and Miss Doublefinger is definitely going to help you in a ramp scenario. Just being a 2K with a 4-cost 4K body that on play you could trash a card to ramp 1 rested. Really, really strong. You can also trigger it Dawn -1 and play this card. Now that's not going to get you your leader effect because it does have to be on your turn, but being able to ramp can help you in certain situations with this deck. You are going Dawn- quite a bit, but this isn't really kind of like a red purple law. You're not going to be going Dawn- so much that you're really, really under Dawn compared to your opponent. This deck usually stays pretty decent Dawn manipulation and amounts on their field. And then next, we're going to finally get a look at some of these Vinsmoke family cards. So here we have Vinsmoke Ichiji. In my opinion, this and the Reiju are the best 2. And they all have a larger counterpart. So they have a small guy and a big guy. So the small ones always play them, you play them and then you activate an effect to trash it, and then you play one of the big guys from your hand or trash. Now your leader does have to have the GERMA 66 typing, so this is leader locked. You cannot play this in other decks, or I could see it definitely being played, but being able to drop a 4-drop 4K body on the field with 1,000 counter, you just drop this on the field, go Dawn -1, and then you get to pump out this 7K with Rush. It's absolutely crazy. So let me go over this effect just a little bit more in detail. It says activate main, Dawn -1. You may trash this character. If your leader has the GERMA 66 type, you can play 1 cost 7 Vinsmoke Ichiji from your hand or trash. So not only do you get to bring out this 7 cost Ichiji, you also get a draw off of your leader effect, which is really, really powerful. And of course, we're going to take a look at the 7 cost next. So this is a 7 cost 7K body. On play, if you have equal to or less Dawn on your field than your opponent, give up to one of your opponent's characters -2K power for this turn, and this character gains Rush. So like I said a minute ago, this deck doesn't go crazy minus and Dawn, but you usually are lower than your opponent. It's just like in red purple law, a lot of the times you're like really low, like a lot lower than your opponent. This you're usually like 1 or 2 Dawn behind them. But this Ichiji almost always gets its effect. You wouldn't be playing it to use it if it wasn't going to get its effect, but giving something -2K and also getting Rush is absolutely crazy. After also getting a draw, and all for 4 Dawn, that's an insane combo right there. Next, we have the big man himself, Vinsmoke Judge. This is an 8-cost 8K body. On play, Dawn -1, you can trash 2 from your hand, play up to 4 GERMA 66 type characters with 4,000 power or less from your trash with different names. So that's going to be all the little ones, including your 2K right there. All your little ones all have 4K or less power. All your big ones have more than that. So you're only going to get to play the little ones off of this, but if you have an empty board, you play Judge, and you have a bunch of these little ones in the trash. There is another one. There is the Yonji, which is the green one. We are not playing in this list. You could pull out 1 copy of each of them from your trash, use all their effects, and turn into all the big fellas all in 1 turn. You're establishing major board presence late game with this deck. and this card specifically. Also has an effect, activate main, once per turn, Dawn -1, rest up to one of your opponent's Dawn cards. That's kind of irrelevant, but I guess it can come up in certain matchups if they're playing counter events, but that's kind of I don't even know why they put that on there, to be honest. Next, we got the 1-cost Vinsmoke Sora. This is a 2k counter with 0 power. On play, you can discard a card from your hand. If you have equal or less Dawn on your field than your opponent, add to your hand 1 character card with 4,000 power or less that has the Vinsmoke family type from trash. So you get to add back any of your little fellas from trash if you need to. A lot of times this is for a 2k, but if you really, really need it, you can add back your little fellas to keep pushing. Next, we got Niji, and it's a 3-drop 3k with 1,000 counter. Same requirements, activate main Dawn -1. You may trash this character. If your leader is GERMA66, you could play 1-cost 5 Vinsmoke Niji. So I'll go ahead and say the Reiju does the same thing. It plays a 4-cost Reiju, just like the Ichiji and the Niji have. And the Yonji does the same thing. It plays a bigger Yonji from your trasher hand. Niji, the big one, is a 5-drop 6k with 1,000 counter that says on play, if you have equal to or less Dawn on your field than your opponent, you choose one of the following. You KO a 2 or less, or you return an opponent's 4 or less to their hand. So a little bit of board removal, a little bit of board clearance and control right there in that card. Very, very nice. Can help you deal with some pesky blockers and things like that. And then, like I said, the Reiju does the same thing. You Dawn -1 to play a bigger Reiju and trash it. So you're always getting a draw off of all these guys if you're doing one of them a turn. And yeah, it's very, very powerful, and you're pumping out some insanely big bodies. Reiju's a 2-cost 2k with 1,000 counter. And then the big Reiju is really, really strong. This is going to be played in a lot of purple decks, in my opinion. I think this card's just really good. It's good in this deck. It's really good in red, purple, law. I like this card a lot. It's a 4-cost 5k with 1,000 counter that says on play, if you have equal to or less Dawn cards on your field than your opponent, and if you have 5 or less cards in your hand, you draw 2. So typically, if you play this Reiju and you have, let's say, 4 cards in your hand, you go Dawn -1 for this, draw a card for your leader effect, then you trigger this Reiju when it's summoned, or I think you get to sequence these in whatever order. Either way, you get to draw 2 and then draw 1. So off of this 1 2-cost card, you're typically drawing 3 cards and going up to like 7 cards in hand, 7 or 8 cards in hand. It's absolutely crazy. I love this card, and I think that this deck is, like I said, very well positioned into the meta. I feel that it just, I don't know. It hasn't topped in the OCG very much, which is shocking to me. This deck is very strong. Next, we have our good old 5-cost Queen. Not going to go over this card other than the fact that the Dawn -1, draw 2 and trash 1 turns into a Dawn -1, draw 3 and trash 1 because of your leader effect. So that's really, really strong. Like I said, keep in mind that your leader effect is only once per person, or once per turn. So I guess that is once per person if you do multiple of these in a turn, but once per turn. So I'd say if you're playing this in person, maybe keep a dice or something handy so that you know when you've activated that leader effect and you're not getting an extra draw. Or if you're playing against this, make sure that they do that so that they're not getting an extra draw off of you and cheating. That would be awful, and I feel that could be easily done with this deck and this leader. So make sure you have some kind of counter on hand. Next, we got the GERMA66 event card. This is a 1-cost event. Just a main, look at 5 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with the type including GERMA other than GERMA66, and add it to your hand. So then you place the rest to the bottom of your deck. So you can add any of your GERMA cards except for this event card off of this, which is really good. And the one that you're typically looking for at the beginning of the game is GERMA Kingdom. Now, I feel that this is one of the decks that can really take advantage of a field spell like this. Stage card, sorry, that's a Yu-Gi-Oh brain right there. But this stage card typically, I mean, we've seen these in multiple decks. We've seen this in Impel Down, Rev Army. I believe there's another one that I'm forgetting as well. But it's a 1-cost stage where activate main, you can discard a card and rest this stage. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add a card with GERMA and its types to your hand, and then put the rest at the bottom. We've seen this mechanic in multiple other decks with multiple other typings and leaders, and I feel that this one can make the best use out of it, because you're getting to trash cards like your big guys, like this Ichiji, for example, that has no counter. Going to your trash is no problem because you're looking for the small one that will then bring that out of your trash. This field stage card is really, really good in this deck, and a lot of times this is what you're looking for when you open a hand. Now, like I said, this is going to round out our competitive list. Like I said, if you wanted to try this deck out at a competitive level, I would recommend something like this. But I will say, this deck in and of itself is already pretty budget. The most expensive card in here is going to be Queen, and that's just because this card's old, doesn't have a reprint. But if Queen gets a reprint, I see this deck being no more than $30 maximum. I feel that judges are going to be $1 a piece. This card's just only played in Reiju, and it's not great. They usually don't play too many of it, and if they do, I just still don't see this card being very expensive. And then your Reijus themselves are actually, I do see this being a couple dollars, maybe $10 to $15 on release, then calming down, maybe like $5 after a couple weeks. But yeah, I don't see this deck being very expensive at all. Even this competitive version, like if you have Queens, you can probably nab the rest of this up for not very much at all. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the budget version just so that you could save a couple more bucks. All right, and here is the budget version. So we're running a lot of the same cards, just a couple of them are taken out. So yeah, let's just go over the list because there's not really there's only one new thing we need to talk about in this list, and that's going to be the Yonji, which if you know how the rest of these work, you'll understand how this works. So we are on 3 copies of Kaya, just a little bit of 2K action there. We are on 3 copies of Pudding to help up against pesky decks that like to draw a lot. We are on 3 copies of Miss Doublefinger for another good 2K that can also ramp you if you need. We are on 4 copies of Ichiji, 4 copies of Ichiji, 2 copies of Judge, 4 copies of Sora, 3 copies of Niji, 3 copies of Niji, 3 Yonji, 3 big Yonji. So little Yonji does the same thing as all the rest of them. Don -1. You may trash this character. If your leader has GERMA 66, play 1 4-cost Yonji from your hand or trash. And the 4-cost Yonji is a 4-cost 5k with 1,000 counter. And if you have equal to or less Dawn on your appeal than your opponent, this character has 1,000 plus power, and he is a blocker. So a 4-cost 6k blocker if you have equal or less Dawn. Next, we're on 4 Reiju and 4 Reiju, as well as 3 GERMA 66 and 4 GERMA Kingdoms. Now, I'm going to say we don't have card prices for these yet, and if we do, they are pre-sale prices, so I'm not going to be judging off of that. If you've seen my budget builder videos in the past or my deep dives in the past, I always account for commons and uncommons and rares being anywhere from 25 cents to $1, depending on what they are, how viable they are, how good of a card they are. So I'm thinking that most of these are going to be pretty cheap, like all of your commons. I mean, we have Ichiji as a common. We have this is mislabeled. This is not an SR. This is only a rare, I'm pretty sure. So we have Ichiji as a common, Reiju as a common, Yonji and Yonji as commons, and then we have Niji as a common. Big Niji is a rare, and then we have Big Ichiji as a rare, Judge as a super, and Reiju as a super. So if we're talking about commons, I mean, I could see all the commons being 25 cents a piece. So we got $1, $2, about $4, $5 max for all your commons right here from the new set. And then we have a couple uncommons if we count the, oh, I guess I didn't count these as well. These, yeah, I'd say about $5 for commons. And then for uncommons, I say you're maybe looking at another $5, $6 maybe max. I mean, it depends on who you're buying them from or who you're getting them from. But if you know people that are opening a lot of this set, you should be able to get them from them pretty cheap. They're just commons. It's going to be a lot of bulk. If you have a shop that keeps a lot of cards on hand and bulk on hand, you should be able to pull these out of bulk or just get them on TCG Player after prices calm down. And then your rares, I could see, let's just say on high end, these are dollars. So that's $4, $7. I mean, right now we're only pushing maybe $20. I know Kayas aren't expensive. Puddings are rares. These will probably be, let's say, dollars again. These are not expensive either. Like I'm saying, for everything that aren't supers, we're looking at like 25 bucks maximum. I feel like that's high too. And then adding in these supers, like I said, I think judges are going to be $1 or $2. Let's say high end, they're like $3, that's $6. And then Reijus, like I said, I could see these being about $5 a piece after everything calms down. This deck's going to cost you maybe $50 to build max. And a lot of these cards, like I really don't see being what I'm saying they are, but just to account for it, just to say high end, that's what they could cost. I don't think it's going to be that much though. So definitely a very budget-friendly deck and budget-friendly version. If you're looking to play a fun, interesting deck that draws you a lot of cards and puts a lot of pressure on your opponent, I would definitely recommend this and this list specifically. Yeah, if you are interested in seeing this list in action, make sure to check back for tomorrow. We're going to be doing the budget builder episode on Reiju, where we're going to take this exact list and play a couple games with it and show you how those went to see what we can really do with this deck. And I feel that this is going to be one of the better budget builder lists that we've made so far. So how about we go ahead and look at something a little more fun? Alrighty, and this is a little more fun, I guess. I don't know. I can't really say if this is a little more fun or not, because I think that the Reiju deck is a lot more fun. Just the Vince Smoke family deck is really, really fun. Now, this is an Animal Kingdom version that I built myself. I've tested it a couple times. It's not amazing. This package is definitely better suited for the blue-purple Kaido leader, being able to play island and ramp so that your big guys and your Dawn minuses aren't taking you too far down. We don't have like very many ramp tools in here at all, so it's a little rough, but it is fun to play if you can play for a little bit without going too heavy on your Dawn minus. You can build up a board, get some cool advantage, then start to do minuses, get your draws, get your cards back, stuff like that. Yeah, I like it. I think it's interesting. Is it good? Not really. It's really funny though. So let's just go over the list real quick. Of course, we're on the Reiju leader. We're on 1 blue Kaido. This can help with certain things like 8-drop Kid, stuff like that. We're on 4 Sasaki. We are on, as a 2K. We are on 4 Who's Who to help search the deck. We are on 4 Ulti to also help search and stack the deck. We are on 2 10-drop Kaido for more draw because we can never get enough drawing cards. The main goal is to try and find this Kaido and then play this, then start doing your Dawn minus so that you're still up on a bunch of cards. We are on 4 copies of X-Drake as another good 2K that you can play on the field. We are on 4 copies of Ulti as another 2K that's searchable that you can play on the field and then maybe pop out a page 1 as well, put some pressure on early. We're on 3 copies of 9-drop Rush Kaido, 3 copies of King as well, and then 4 copies of Queen. We love Queen in this deck being a draw 3 trash 1. Like I mentioned, 4 copies of page 1 to go with that ulti. We're on 4 Law to help control those other decks' hand size. We are on 2 Sheep's Horn for pesky blockers, 4 Disaster to help ramp and draw more, and then 3 Blast Breath for some defense. Now, like I mentioned, this deck is not great. Definitely a shell that's better built for blue-purple Kaido leader, but I just wanted to put something funny together and show you guys what I made. Like I said, these fun lists are not always great, and if you have a suggestion for a better fun list or something else funnier that you think could go into this leader, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you got cooking, because I love seeing goofy lists like this, and we actually had a great one in last week's Perona deep dive that I really enjoyed and was really funny. So if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. But that's going to round out today's video, y'all. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you like this kind of content, like I said, make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know what you think of these lists. Are you running Reiju and OP06? If you are, let me know what kind of list you're running. If you're going to be running something like this, or if you're going to be running something like the budget build, or something more on the competitive edge like we showed at the first deck list. I'd love for you to go check out Dueling Guard in the description below and use code GUMGUMTCG. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and check back tomorrow for the Budget Builders episode. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.